Hi everybody, Joe Theismann here at my live book signing at my home. Actually, this is my office with my good friend Michael Murray, who's going to assist me when it comes to handling the questions and things we're going to do. And I guess one of the things that I think most people are curious about is, number one, why'd you write the book and what was the inspiration for the book? And I think that was
one of the questions.
Possibly one of the questions that someone asked. But the reason the book really came about back in 1982 after we won the World Championship. I started attending a lot of different functions as a speaker. And I didn't want to just talk about football. I wanted it to be more than just football. So as I walked around and I visited with people from different aspects of management, sales, HR, executives, all different aspects of business, and I kept hearing the same words that we talked about in the world of football. It was like, we really need to set our goals. We need to get the goals squared away. And boy, everybody, we have to have that right kind of attitude in the company, and we need to seize the opportunities that are out there. And because whether it's a family unit or whether it's a business or whether it's an athletic team, it's all teamwork. It's all a group of people working together. So there was the teamwork. And I think every one of us, there has to be a reason to get up in the morning. Exactly. You got to get excited about getting up in the morning. And so for me, motivation became the part of it. So it was goals, it was attitudes, it was opportunity, it was customer service. And now customer service is really nothing but people relationships. Right. I mean, the business you're in as a designer, I mean, it's dealing with people all the time. And so that really became the essence of the book. And I figured, and I really decided that if you want to do something, why not do it to the best of your ability, which means try and be a champion. So the book, it's not a how-to book, and I sort of fashion myself as Joey Appleseed. Yeah. These are suggestions. These are experiences that I've had in my life, and I hope that people can read the book, look at the book, and say, you know, that applies to me, or that doesn't necessarily work for me, but at least it's some options. And that's really what we look for, I think, today is options to be able to grow. How can we grow as individuals? And that's what I wanted the book to be, and that's why it's 6 Timeless Keys. And like I said, this started for me way back in 1972, and I think all the way back to my college days, which are covered in the book at the University of Notre Dame as well. And think about the lessons that I learned along the way from so many different people, because that's all we are as human beings, is we're an accumulation of information and experiences that we've had with other people that have helped us grow into what we are. And you know, some of the ways we develop into our lives, some of the things we become as we grow older, we look back and go, boy, you know, you were just a jerk. You know, you were just, what a numbnut you were, and then you hopefully grow for it. And really, I think we're put on this earth to help people, and that's what I want the book to do, to give people an opportunity to be able to look at their lives through mine and say, maybe there's something that I can do that can affect someone else's life in a positive way.
Well, when I read it, first of all, you learn in the book, so it's kind of like being in this weird whirlwind, right? So I'm reading the book because I was very honored as a friend that you said, come read the book, you know, do this interview, do this book signing. But I'm reading the book, and then as I'm reading the book, I'm reading lessons about how to prepare for doing this event. So it's like surreal. But the main thing I got from the book, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, was I've known you for a couple of years now.
Probably 45 years.
Oh, it's getting long. It is becoming a long time. Wow, that went fast. But it's like listening to you. It's like having you in the room and you're talking. Sign some books. We got to do some work around here.
Yes, I know that.
But it's really like having Joe speak to you the way you can hear the way he would handle a situation, and you can actually hear his story. So I'm super thrilled and honored that I get to spend time listening to him. But this is actually that opportunity to listen to you chat.
And that's the one thing I know when I read books. I want it to sound like the author is talking to me. Right. And if you know an author, if you know someone and you read their books, and if you read enough of that person's books, it's almost like they are talking to you. Right. As you read the words, yes, there's the audio book, which we'll be putting out later this year, but there's the written word that just sort of sings and flows. I wanted, number one, the book to flow. It does. Jennifer Lil Brown is the one that wrote it with me, and she did a fabulous job taking my words and putting them into print. Right. And making it. And I get this from people. It sounds like you, Joe. It sounds the way you talk. And I appreciate you saying that, because that was one of the intentions that I had for the book, as far as being able to do that. And just have it be something that you can almost like listen and read at the same time. But the other part of it is I wanted the book to be a size where you can put it in a briefcase, you can put it in a purse, you can put it in a knapsack, and it's not cumbersome. Heck, you can almost stick it in your jacket. And it's 160 plus pages long.
But it's like a manual. It's not like it's kind of like a life manual a little bit, like a playbook, really, right? Is it a life playbook?
It's sort of I call it basically a game plan.
Right.
And it's interesting when I reference the term game plan, like we talk about in the world of sports. One of the things that I try and emphasize to people is I've never seen a bad game plan in my life. All I've ever seen is lousy execution. Like when you design houses, when you do a room, it's like, this is the game plan. You go in and I have this in my mind. And see, what I want to do is take the lessons in the book and move them to any industry,
right? Whether
it's your life. So really what it was is life, business, and sports all parallel one another. And I tried to put them all together in the book. And it's like I'm saying, from a game plan standpoint, once you start doing what you're doing, that's the execution part of it. Now, the game plan gives you an idea,
right?
But then as weather, time, delivery dates, all those things change. For us, it's weather, it's score. Are you into the wind? Are you with the wind? Do you need 3? Do you need 7? Does the defense have to hold people? So you have all those variables that go into it.
And with the book, what's amazing to me is Joe and I live very opposite lives. Couldn't get much more opposite life. The message carries directly across. I mean, when you're listening to this, really easy, kind of in, not sound bites even, but just really small life lessons, and you hear Joe say, hey, come on, get up, get out there. There's 2 ways to wake up in the morning. Yeah. You could be like, oh, my knee hurts and my bills are due and all that. Or you can get up and like see yourself in the mirror and be like thrilled to see yourself.
Yeah, why not?
You look great today, buddy. That's stuck in my head. No matter what you look like, you look great.
Why not? I mean, you wear your hair whatever you want to do, especially now, in this day and age.
Right.
So many people are at home. I mean, my gosh, so many people are at home. They wake up. One of the things I was listening to on TV the other day, a young lady said, "You know what I love? I love the fact that I get up, throw my sweats on, and I don't have to change out of them.
Right.
I could go. I'm working."
Right.
In my sweats, I'm working in my, my pants the way I want to wear them. I don't have to worry about my hair.
Right.
I think that's all part of what we're dealing with in quote unquote the new normal that we have. I really believe that people want to seek information to try and better their lives.
Right.
In so many different ways, mentally, physically, emotionally. How can we enhance our lives? And again, it was part of the thought process. And this book took a good 5 years to put together. Like I said, it started in 1982 with the idea that the 3 worlds can all parallel one another.
Well, that leads to the next question. One of the questions here is about the inspiration for doing it, but specifically about what about doing it now? Why did you just get it done? You were telling me earlier.
I did one of the things that I mentioned in the book.
Your own book?
My own book. I did one of those things. I learned my lesson.
Right.
I procrastinated.
Okay.
I got so close. I think we get so close sometimes, and then you say, I'll finish it tomorrow. I lost focus.
Right.
I talk about, one of the things I talk about in the book is out on the ranch. I was on the tractor one day. I'm cutting grass, and all of a sudden I looked at a fence post and it was leaning over.
Right.
So I got about half the grass done, and I think, well, I'll go work on the fence post. So I go over and I start working on the fence post, and all of a sudden I look down the fence line and heck, there's a bush over the fence. Mm-hmm. So I stop digging the fence post, and I go and I start clipping the bush, and it gets dark. So now I got half the grass cut. I got a hole in the ground where I want to put the post for the fence post, and I got a bush that's half cut. I start tomorrow with no job finished.
Right.
Instead of just mowing the lawn, finish the project, focus on it, finish the hole in the ground. I'll get to the bush tomorrow. But what we do is we start projects and we procrastinate and we move this over here. All we do is move things around our desk so often. It's like a big chess game.
Right.
I'm just moving pieces around, and then you walk in the next day and they look different, but you haven't done anything. And I lost focus for a while on the book. And then I had a very dear friend of mine by the name of James Malinchak, whom I do some speeches for. James said, "It's time, Joe."
Right.
He said, "I need you to give me a date I need you to give me a date that you're going to get this done by. Enough. I said, December 1st, 2019. I'll have the manuscript finished. Done.
So December 1st, this crystallized everything I've been listening. When I hear you and I listen, we were joking, like your wife, like who listens to Joe? But I listen, but I didn't realize how much I'd heard and internalized until I read the book, because then it's not like it's preachy. It's just kind of pointers. It's like it's like having your good, not the uncle at the Christmas party you don't want to listen to, but at the holiday party, that's the one who has something good to say. And you crystallize it and put it down on paper so you can actually reference it. I highlighted it, and I'm not like a school book kind of guy. I always say I finished school. I woke up one day and said I'm finished. But this is this is actually a book like I highlighted. Like, come back to that. Your momisms.
Yes, mom was. My mother was a big influence in my life, and I think whether it's moms, grandmothers, there's somebody in your life that's an influence. And my mom was a big one. My mom worked till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. My dad worked 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. But there's little things like my mom used to share with me, which I got a kick out of. It's like, hey, Joey, you're never going to be happy with anybody in your life until you're happy with who you are.
Right.
And that goes to the little thing you were talking about, congratulating yourself.
Right.
It's okay to congratulate yourself. Right. It's okay to say, you know what, you're doing a heck of a job.
You're crushing it.
Keep it going.
Right.
It's all right to feel good about yourself. What's wrong with feeling good about yourself? Right. And I share a lot of the Redskin experiences I had, because my life changed after my leg was broken in 1985. Right. My world changed. I had the world by the tail. I was an MVP of the National Football League. I was a world champion quarterback. I was doing movies. I was doing commercials. I had every material thing you could possibly hope for going for you in your life. And then all of a sudden, bang, in one instance, it was gone. 1984, I signed a 5-year contract worth over $5 million, which at that time, I believe right around 84, if you took into consideration bonuses and salaries, I could have been the highest paid player in the National Football League. I was reading an article that said that. I went, whoa. I was making, this is crazy in this day and age where you have quarterbacks making $35, $40 million. I was $1 million a year guy. That's the 4th highest paid guy in the league, roughly. Wow. And all of a sudden it was over. And so where did I go? I basically went back to the world of sports, and I said, from there, I have to build a foundation. I have to reassess my goals. Just like now, I like to think of this book as a very timely book because it helps people deal with the challenge of change.
Yes.
And keeping in mind, people are not opposed to change. They're opposed to being changed. I don't want to change you as a person, but I want you to look at the possibilities of things that exist from a different perspective. That's the change is, how do we handle what's going on in our lives? I don't want to change you. I want you to stay you. Stay committed to who you are. But you have to look at what's going on in the world and how do you change accordingly?
Well, when you said in the book, your momism, the one momism, which is so true, especially at times like this book is so relevant to so many wonderful changes that are going on and so many harsh changes that are going on. But the quote your mom said, I think, is, if you're looking for the bad in people, you're going to find it.
If you're looking for
the good, you probably find that too.
Exactly.
And so I mean, if for example, we sit across from the table from each other, there could be a long list of things you and I would have really big disagreements on. We would never see eye to eye on so many things, but we as friends choose to focus on what we have in common, and then we have extremely lively debate. We were having it before before this started.
And
we were in the middle of
this is the other thing. This is the other thing, and this is something that I really hope everybody that sees this shares this with someone. Respect someone else.
Yes.
Respect is a word that seems to be disappearing from society. I don't agree with you on certain things.
Right.
That's okay.
Right.
It's okay. The thing is, respect that person. I'm respecting you for your opinion. Respect me for mine. And let's work towards a common ground. I think that's a really important thing.
Are we starting a movement right here, Joe? You and me?
I think respect is a great way to get it started. It really is. And so when I got hurt, I just really went back to the world of sports. And then I like I said, and I started thinking about all those things in the world of business that we talked about, and the analogies that are a part of the book itself, and being able to have the trophy on the cover, and the NFL, the Lombardi Trophy is something special.
Right.
I mean, I put the design of the cover, the texture of the cover, the pictures. The book doesn't have pictures in it. I didn't want pictures in it. I wanted to be able to tell a story, and it's lots of stories. And it's not a football book. It's got football analogies, but it also has business analogies. General Powell contributed to it. I quote Charles Osgood.
Right.
Different people I've known over time. I recognize Lamar Jackson, the MVP of the National Football League this year. So many different types of people that have influenced my life and continue to. Young people like a Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson. These are all young men. I'm excited about the future of the National Football League because of them. And then you have obviously such a great gap, and you've got the ageless Tom Brady,
right,
and you've got Aaron Rodgers. You have this group of guys that's just done so much, and that's what's so neat about the stories is they come from so many different aspects. One that I happen to like in particular is my punt.
Yeah.
See now it's.
I was gonna. Okay, first of all, he ruined my thing. Thanks. I'm out. I'm leaving this center. That was my thing. I was gonna say, why don't you just punt, Joe, and then have Joe lead into that? So let's just scratch the rest of this.
Go ahead. Go
ahead. No.
You want to ask me that question?
No, I was just gonna say, go ahead and punt, Joe, and then go ahead.
So basically,
I let you into it. I stole it anyway. Either way.
You did. You got it. Basically what we did was it was the Chicago Bears, 1985, third game of the season. We were down 10-0.
Right.
And so we kick off. We kicked the ball away from Willie Gault 3 times, fastest man in football. But now we had a 10-point lead, so we kicked the ball to Willie. I'm standing on the sidelines, ball goes through the air, Willie catches it and starts to run and going, whoa, look at Willie run. Whoa, look at Willie run. Oh, he's in the end zone, touchdown, scores 10-7. But the guy that kicks off for us is also our punter. He tears the thigh muscle. We don't have a punter. Coach Gibbs is standing on the sidelines wondering, what am I going to do? I walked up to him. I said, Coach, you looking for a punter? He said, yeah, I don't know what to do. I said, I can punt. He said, you can what? I said, I can punt. How hard can it be? You drop the ball, you raise your foot, boom, the ball goes out.
You couldn't, in fact, punt, though. I mean,
I'm like,
you thought
I thought I could.
Okay, all right.
All that matters is what you think you can do.
There's a couple of ways. There's a bunch of lessons in here. Like
the whole bunch. So what happens? So now all of a sudden, what I do is I go running on the field. Now I'm no longer Joe Theismann quarterback. I'm Joe Theismann punter.
Right.
So we get the ball on our own 13-yard line, run a running play, gain 2 yards, second down and 8 from our own 15. And I look to the sidelines, and Coach wants me to throw a pass. I'm thinking, great, chances are I'm not going to complete this because I have a personal relationship with the punter.
Right.
So I drop back, pick out a kid in the third row, whoop, into the stands, done. 3rd and 8 wants me to throw another one. Well, I have that same relationship with the punter. So now all of a sudden I bounce it. Yeah, that's 4th and 8, got a punt.
Right.
Offense runs off the field, kicking team runs off. My teammates are going, Joe, kick it right. Go, just get it back here. No, I'm standing on the goal line at Soldiers Field. Ball's on the 15-yard line.
No pressure.
I'm going, Mom, look at me.
Let me just ask you, in that moment in time, not to interrupt.
Yeah.
Were you feeling confident that you
Absolutely.
Going to do this?
Absolutely.
Like that, just think of that. The center of Soldiers Field, and you're like,
I
got this.
Never ever questioned my ability to be able to punt. Never crossed my mind. I'm putting my arms up going, Mom, look at me. I'm a punter in the National Football League. And all of a sudden, the ball's in the 15. I'm on the goal line. I get the snap, ball hits my hand. Have you ever had your world go into slow motion? The roar of the crowd.
This is like a car wreck.
Oh, it's just like it is. It's a muffled sound. That's all I hear. And I'm thinking, my teammates had said kick it right, so in my mind it's like kick the ball right. I drop the ball, raise my foot. Pow! Ball goes flying off my foot, hung in the air, 16 yards. I'm back 15. That's right. I have a 1 yard net average. Now I want to tell you something. I claim to be.
Hold on, I want to help. I read this so thoroughly. You're not even number 1 in the least amount of yardage.
Should be. Sean Landetta.
We're going to lose big, Joe.
No. Sean Landetta, who punted for the Giants, a dear friend. He
still number 1.
Almost the same spot on the field. Okay? He claims to have a -6 yard punt.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I watched that game. He never touched the ball. So to me, there's no way that he could actually be officially considered a -6 yard punt.
So you're bitter about being second place.
I'm not bitter. I'm just claiming the crown. I'm just taking the crown. I'm not bitter one bit. I'm just accepting the crown. But it's little stories like that. Now every story has a purpose, and the purpose is don't be afraid to take a chance.
Right.
Because people will come up to me and say, you know what, guys, when you were a failure as a punter, I go, never had a failure in my life. Only an educational experience that did not go my way. And I think if we look at things like that in life, if we look at things that don't go the way we want them, what can you take from that?
Right.
To help you do it better the next time or do something better the next time? It's an experience, okay? It was, I'm not a failure.
And I'm not a guy who watches football. I'm not a guy. I played football a little bit in high school, poorly, right? I think we were very poorly. Injured my way out of the business. And I was forced into sports as a kid. I'm a creative. I'm not a sports guy. But I read the book and I was getting the stories. Like I wasn't. It was happening during a football game, but it was a story. And I'm going to throw something out here. It's going to be a little big, but it's like when you watch the movie Rudy. You get the story. Football's involved, but that's the same way I feel about the book.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it, and that's really the way I intended the book to be. There are analogies to the world of sports in it,
right?
But they're really life's lessons, and that's one thing about sports is you see things happen, whether it's on a diamond, whether it's on a basketball court, whether it's on a football field, whether it's on a lacrosse field, whether it's on a soccer field. There are things happen that really are about life.
Right.
They are life. And so in doing that, we wind up with a situation to be able to learn from it. I think that's the most important thing. What are we able to learn? One of my favorite sayings that I shared in the book is real simple, is the day you stop learning is the day you stop living.
Wow.
And that's another thing to consider for those people in leadership. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room.
Look at that.
But bring this. Don't be afraid of the smart people. Bring them in. And the other thing I want to do is I wanted to write the book in such a way that it spanned all generations.
Right.
Whether it's with Father's Day coming up, a great opportunity to be able to have something for the father. But then I think for women in business, it talks about leadership. It's not gendered.
No,
it's just like I said. The world of football is one where people look at it and there's a bunch of guys doing it, but the life is not all. Life it's non-gendered. It's for men, for women, for everybody. That to have a chance to be able to look at it and say, that makes sense to me. And from if you're 10 years old or you're 90 years old, I still think there's an application there.
Well, when you said what was interesting in the book was that there's the moment in his life when his leg broke, which is I've never watched. Honestly, I love you and know you too much to watch it. I can't watch it. I'm not into watching car crashes. I'm not into watching skater things. I consider that the same video, so I don't watch it. But I've been in recovery for 20 years. You had your moment of clarity, as we call it in recovery, and this book is for a lot of people who are trying to do growth through recovery. People who are trying to, whether it's your body image or whether it's your mental health or whether it's your addiction or what you don't think is an addiction. There's lessons in here that are not pounding you over the head. They're saying, hey, we don't need to get you from 0 to 100. We're just getting you from 70 to 80% today.
And you know what? If we can get you from 70 to 80, you're going to get stronger going from 80 to 90 and keep going.
So that moment of clarity was...
And how important are things to you? How important are the things in your life to you? One of the things I talk about is my sit down with Joe Gibbs. 1981, Joe Gibbs became the head coach of the Washington Redskins. In that particular year, we started 0-5. Now, he's a new coach. They're not going to get rid of him.
No.
I'm not his quarterback. They're looking for somebody else. I drove to his house. I drove to Joe's house because playing quarterback in the National Football League was important to me. And I knew, how you sit in meetings sometimes and people... You're in the meeting, but they're not talking to you. Right. Well, when you're a quarterback and there's only one other guy in the room besides you and that's the coach and he's not talking to you, that's a problem.
Right.
And I just got the sense that he didn't want me. And so after we lost to the 49ers, I drove to his house. We were 0-5. I knocked on the door. Coach, can I sit down with you? I mean, he had to be stunned and shocked. The man slept at Redskin Park 3 nights a week. He was exhausted. Here I am showing up after a game, which he's super exhausted. And I said, Coach, tell me, can we sit down and talk? He said, yeah, come on. And we sat down. I said, I just get the feeling that we're not on the same page. He said, Joe, look. He said, you have TV shows, radio shows, you got all this stuff going on. I just want a guy to play the position of quarterback. I said, I'll do this. I'll get rid of everything. I want to prove to you I can be your quarterback. I want to be your quarterback. But give me a chance. Because it's got to be a two-way street. Right. Don't preconceive a notion about someone and say, I don't want that person because of this is what I perceive. Give that person a chance to show you they can do the job. Give a chance. Give them the opportunity. Again, that's one of my favorite words. Opportunity is my favorite word. Why is my second favorite word. But opportunity is my favorite word. What? Just give me a chance. From the fifth game of 1981,
Right.
we went 8-3. 1982, we went 12-1, won the world championship. 1983, we go 16-3. We lose 2 games that year by 1 point, lose to the Raiders in the Super Bowl. 1984, we win the division. In 1985, we were 5-5 when I left. I mean, we had during the time I had a chance to start, I won 2/3 of the football games I played in. Actually, yeah, about 2/3 of it. I mean, it was, and it's not me. And that's the other thing too is I'm talking. It sounds like it's about me. It's not. One of the most important things I stress in this book is teamwork.
Right.
What is your role where you are? How do you fit into certain roles in the workplace, in the family unit, with your friendships? What are your roles as we go forward? And that's something that I think is very important. Like I take and describe, for example, the little acronym TEAM. Together, everyone achieves more.
Right.
Individuals committed to a common goal. Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver ever. Okay? I think he is. Jerry wanted to be the greatest. Now people say, well, that's selfish. No, it's not. Because if Jerry's great and Joe Montana is there, you got 2 guys wanting to be the best and reach a point where they're the best, you're going to be a pretty good football team.
Right.
So basically what you're doing is the roles that they played were very influential to the success of that team. So how do we define roles? You know, and I asked, one of the things I talk about in here too was Coach Gibbs. I asked him what he looked for in a championship player. Hence the term, how to be a champion every day. What do you look for in a championship player every day? And I didn't say what do you look for in a player. We look for in a championship player. He said, I look for character, intelligence, and ability. I said, come on, Joe, everybody wants those things. He said, that's the order in which I look for things. Character first, because we're going to go through some tough times.
Right.
I need people that can stand up to it. Intelligence. You know, we have 500 plays a game available to us. I mean, you have to know what's going on. You can't be stupid. And oh, by the way, then we'll see if you're fast, you can run or catch. We'll look at your abilities. So it's little things like that where I think we get a chance to examine the workplace and say, who do I want in the workplace with me? What are the qualifications that I'm looking for someone to be in the workplace that I am in as a leader?
All right. So one of the things I saw, and my questions aren't loading up real quick, so what's that? I'm trying.
We're going to go refresh. You need your glasses?
Yeah,
Put them
no.
on. There we go. We're cheating.
Yeah,
This is live.
This is live.
That's why it's called a live.
They'll cut this. Is this live or no? We're not live.
Yeah, we're live. Well, we're taped live.
We're taped live, so we'll just do it.
Now we're going to go.
Listen, that proves I have to show my age. But I want the story. Before I go to the questions is I was lucky enough. This is a return on a favor, right? I mean, it's an unscheduled favor. I asked actually Robin, Joe's husband. She's the star of my world. I mean, you're her nice husband, too, Robin Theismann's husband. If they'd come out, we were doing an open house. Joe drove 13 hours to do an open house to help me out. I renovated a house. I built houses, and he really did such a solid for me that I was like, I'm here today. I'm like, he said, come. I'm like, I'll crawl through glass. And that's one of your character traits. But the real thing that was a turning point. He gave me his personal advice. And I was getting the book. I had the book the whole weekend because we really got to know each other mostly that weekend. We were at the PGA golf tournament. I should know that. Yep. Sorry, forgive me, sports fans.
PGA Championship.
Where the PGA champion was across the street from the house we were renovating. Our dear family friend member whose house we renovated. And there had to have been, I couldn't describe to you when Joe walked through this crowd of people. You probably don't notice it as much, but it'll be like, is that? And then they just start coming to Joe. There were probably, at that one day, 1,000 people that came up to Joe, but there weren't. There was one person at a time that came up to Joe.
Yeah, really.
Joe stopped, made eye contact, and I learned more on that day. Not that your wisdom wasn't wonderful, but I learned more on that day. Like, this guy just crushes it every second. He's bringing his game every single second. And it was genuine. You treated every human being with grace and dignity, which I think is kind of the way you operate.
Well, now, yes. I think I was more full of myself at a time in my life when I was younger, and material things mattered a whole lot more to me. I think what's important now is relationships, friendships.
Yes.
Those are things that carry a tremendous amount of credence for me now. Any questions?
We have to do some work
need
here.
some questions.
We've been like talking about me, talking about you. Robin even got it.
About you, a little bit everybody.
So we're going to go to some questions. I love this question, and everyone's sorry. We're going to get some really sportsy questions, but it's really, Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing like everybody.
Right? Is that an Oprah question or what? I nailed that.
Thank you. Thank you. Now your next show is coming.
Right. Talk show.
Actually, we're doing well. My wife and I have talked. I think this is being in quarantine has given us all an opportunity to sort of reevaluate our relationships with our partners, our spouses, our families, our children, our business relationships. Businesses will never be the same again. I still think people are going to interact. I still think you're going to get meetings, you're going to get groups of people together. We will have stadiums full again at some point in time. Right. I believe all those things will happen. But right now, it's like a pause. And I use this analogy. It's a great question, and I say this. In football, we have a bye week. Mm-hmm. Okay, you play 7-8 games, and all of a sudden you get 2 weeks off. During that 2-week period, we don't study the opponent. We study ourselves. And so what this pandemic has done is it's a giant 4-month bye week for society, for all of us to examine the things that are occurring in our lives. It's a chance for us as individuals to step back and say, this is my marriage, this is my relationship with my children, this is my work, this is me. That's the relationship you can't forget about. Right. You. Right. The mental part of it, the physical part of it, the disciplines that we need to be able to move forward and grow as people. Those and that's really what that. So we're doing very well. We're learning to survive in this period of time. So that's a great question. Thank you.
That was an actually very good answer. I wasn't doubting you, but I'm just saying. I'm going to point out. I'm going to reaffirm that you actually
raped Joe's.
Actually, Joe, that was pretty good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
First of all, the fact that I just punched you in the shoulder. My nephews are at home dying right now. That I'm even. First of all, I don't think I deserve this opportunity. Let's just be really clear. Like you don't even know anything about sports. But the fact that I'm punching Joe Theismann is the. All right. I'm going back and through because some of the things he's already talked about. So I'm not skipping any of those questions. I promise you. If you could play for, here's a tough one. If you could play for any team today, who would you play for?
Oh, wow. If I could play for any team. Well, I turned down a chance to play with the Dolphins because I turned down a chance to be in the Minnesota Twins baseball organization. Yeah, I got drafted
Were you baseball like you're a punter?
No, I was much better. 39th round. I was drafted in the 39th round by the Minnesota Twins in 1971. Last pick of their draft.
I listen to a lot of boring facts you give me, and that you never mentioned this whole time. I'm in 5 years of numbers.
It's a little bit of an unfair question because I have so many wonderful relationships.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a trick question.
Bill Belichick has been, it really is. Bill's been such a dear friend. Andy Reid's such a wonderful friend. I've known, John Gruden, another one, been a great friend. Sean McVay. These are all great coaches in great organizations. But I only played for the Washington Redskins. That was the only team I ever played for. It was the only team I ever knew. And I guess you sort of say if that's all you ever knew, that's probably where it would make the most sense.
Fair enough. I was totally setting you up. I wanted you outside your comfort zone. That's what Oprah would do. That's what I'm doing. She's my spiritual.
I'm going to call you Micro.
Right. All right. That sounds like a bad fabric, actually. Probably what this shirt is made of. Not that it's a bad shirt, but it wasn't more than $10 as well.
What else you got?
I'm working right now. Oh, what was the best and hardest part about writing your book?
The best part of writing the book was being able to take and use this as a vehicle to try and help people grow. That was the best, to me, that was the best part of the book. That was the thing that I enjoyed the most. The hardest part was writing the book. I was just disciplining myself and saying, I'm going to do it. Focusing and getting it done, chapter by chapter. I'll tell you, I've written some other books, and you can start them.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. You can start it. You can get through. I mean, this has basically 6 chapters in it. And the thing that I'm really proud of is the letter to my younger self at the end, which was Derek Jeter had actually started that program, put it together, and it's a letter to me, the young Joe. That's just it's the end of the book, and just as a FYI, what I wanted to do was honor those men and women that fight for our freedoms in this country, and I honor them in the book. And also, a percentage of the proceeds that I get from this book are going to go to St. Jude's Children's Research Center,
which is here in Memphis, where we are today,
which is here in Memphis, Tennessee. I just think being able to sit down and just go through chapter 1, 2, 3, and all of a sudden, as you get closer to the end, it becomes more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's how do you finish something?
The last 5% is the hardest part.
It almost anything you do,
Yeah.
any project you do, it's like the last 2 minutes of a game.
Yeah.
So much hinges on it, and you want to make sure that everything in the book carries through to the way you want it to be. I can't even tell you how many times I've read the manuscript over and over and over and over and over.
That leads us to our next one, which is kind of we kind of recapped on this question. The only reason we had a little lead time, Lauren is amazing. We were having a couple technical ramp ups, so we were. So, what is your favorite film or TV show to be part of? What was?
Well,
in past tense.
Let's
do past tense and present.
Well,
Let's split it up.
Past tense. I did Cannonball Run 2.
Which is an American classic.
It's come. I see it every now and then. They play it.
I mean, Streep has done a few good films, but that's some serious stuff.
You've got Burt Reynolds, Don DeLuise, Jackie Chan, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. Now these are all names. Even young people would know these names. Okay, Mary Lou Henner, Catherine Bach, Shirley MacLaine.
Crazy.
Just an incredible ensemble. I mean, to watch Sammy Davis Jr. during a break, Sammy would spin 6-shooters, and to be able to sit and just visit with people like that. Richard Kiel, who used to play in the Bond movies that you see, the man with the jaws, he was there. Of course, Jackie's been around forever. Chan doing incredible stuff. But recently, I've done some Hallmark movies, which I really love.
Which I'm a fan of. So let me just out myself right now.
Hallmark
movies. I could watch those when it's like wintry. I'm watching Joe on Hallmark.
Well, you know what? Now, especially you can't get out. Now's a great time to watch too. But Love on the Sidelines was the first one I did. I played a dad in that one.
Any other ones?
The other one was Snow Coming. I got to play a crazy agent.
So you got the good guy and the
bad guy.
Not that all agents are bad.
I'm like the crazy agent. I was like the crazy agent. I almost threw my arm out throwing a ball against the wall. You gotta be careful doing these movies. You can get hurt.
Yeah, you ain't 30.
No, I'm not 40 either.
Well, I was trying to be kind. You know, what am I going to say to that, right? I mean, imagine with the feedback I'm going to get from anything I've said that's at all.
You're doing well.
You're just saying that because you have grace and dignity. I don't have what you have.
You're doing well.
All right. What can athletes do to capitalize on this pandemic downtime?
I think, first of all, you have to examine, I think not just athletes, people in general. This is just, but athletes in particular, get yourself into a routine. And you need someone to push you. You need a coach. I know I've got a hurt shoulder, and I'm rehabbing myself. Now, I've rehabbed myself all my career. I mean, I know, but it's so hard sometimes to start a program and then all of a sudden say, "Oh, you know what? I got to make that phone call." So even so, you're a third of the way through your program. I'm working my shoulder, and I'm going, and then all of a sudden you break. You need someone to say, "Finish it." Again, when it comes to
someone.
There's a orthopedic surgeon that I have in Destin where I am, and there's another one here. And it's like, okay, Joe, this is what you need to do. You know, we're doing it 3 days a week. Day on, day off. We need the rest as well. And this is what people, when it comes to rehabilitation, the rest is as important as the exercises. So if you're strengthening a particular injury or you're strengthening your body, you can't just do all legs. You can't just do all upper body. You can't just do all arms. It has to vary. You need to give the body an opportunity to be able to recuperate and you know, instead of tearing it down constantly, give it a chance to build and get stronger. So. But I think that it's important that the athletes push themselves, because no matter how much you think you pushed yourself, you didn't push it as far as a coach is going to push you once it starts again. So, and whatever you are, and one of the things I talk about in the book is a young kid came up to me one day. He says, "You're not going to believe this." He was a running back. He said, "You're not going to believe this, but I had a chance to train with Jerry Rice." I said, "Oh, I think that's wonderful." I said, "But you're a running back, right?" He said, "Yeah, I am." I said, "Well, and Jerry's a wide receiver, isn't he?" "Yeah." I said, "Why don't I hook you up with like a Walter Payton, a running back? You know, how does the running back train versus how does the wide receiver train? Two different types of training. So how about if we have you train to the specialized area that you're in? And it just, so make sure you're training to the specifics of what you want to do.
So let's role play that. In real life, would I find someone who I'm a coworker with? Would I find someone on YouTube? What do I do?
You find it on YouTube. Discipline's another big word. Respect is one discipline. You have to discipline yourself. You're going to go on YouTube and you're going to use the programs, or you see a lot of the different programs that are out there. Adhere to them. Find the time to do what you need to do for yourself.
Okay.
And for me, it's the rehab part. And it's no fun because I know it hurts. I know it's sore.
Right.
But you have to push yourself through it. It's like, oh, it's sore. I don't want to do anymore. You have to.
Well, Muhammad Ali, you were saying in the book, that was the thing. I'm like, Muhammad Ali can't hate training. He's Muhammad Ali. What was the
whole thing? The whole thing had to do with, you train and push yourself to get ready to go under the lights. Being under the lights, actually, the games were the easiest part of playing football.
Right.
Just like I think the training for boxers or any athlete is the hardest part, to get yourself to that moment. Well, I always think of as Olympic athletes. Olympic athletes train 4 years. Just starting. You train 4 years. This is your first Olympics.
Right.
And you're a 100-meter runner. Going in an instant.
Right.
In less than 10 seconds, what you've done is all those 4 years have gone into 10 seconds.
Right.
And you finished third.
Yeah.
See, to me, you didn't lose. You got through all those 4 years becoming a better person, a better individual, a better everything. And you happened to be in a moment of competition when it didn't quite work out. Now, that does one of two things. It deflates and defeats you, or it says, you know what? I'm going to take this lesson and I'm going to go forward with it. I'm going to be better.
Right.
And that's why we see so many athletes, 4 years. I think Olympic athletes, to me, are, there's no money involved. You're doing it because you love it.
Right.
You're doing it because of the passion that you have. And, enthusiasm, passion, they're all a part of attitude.
All right. What are you doing for a hobby these days, Mr. Theismann? What are you up to?
I am not an avid golfer. I'm not a rabid golfer. I am an obsessive golfer. And right now I'm trying to get myself back on a golf course. I've been hurt for a little bit, but I'm doing that, watching a lot of great Netflix movies. My wife and I are spending a lot of time, and then spending time with our children, our grandkids, and it's hard because we can't see our family. We want to spend time with them, but we can't be with them. I think that's what we're all dealing with right now. That's why if you want to read a good book, this is a good book during a time when you can't do anything.
It's actually not when you read once, you read it, and then you read it again because you're like,
thank you.
I'm not kidding. And again, because part of it was this circle of being prepared, and then the chapters about being prepared, and I'm like, I better read it again because he did it. In one part of the book is about Joe being prepared for his first broadcast. Was it your first broadcasting?
No, it's the way I've done it all the time. When I was in broadcasting all those years, it would take me about 60 hours a week to prepare for a game. I think people just think we drove up to the stadium on Sunday, sat down in the booth, and talked for 3 hours.
And the takeaway was, if it was a good game, you only need 25% of it, of the information.
If that.
Right. And so you were so over-prepared for sometimes, but sometimes when you needed it, you needed to draw on that battery.
There's no such thing as being over-prepared. For us, first of all, Michael, thank you.
Oh, are you kidding?
Thanks for being here with me. I appreciate we've been friends, like you say. Even though it's been a short period of time, it seems like forever. I really appreciate sharing this experience with you. And as far as the book goes, like I said, to me it was a labor of love. It's something I wanted to share with people. I wanted people to be able to have an opportunity to be able to read this. And I appreciate you saying that. You read it once, but then you go through it again and you start to pick out the things that really touch and hit home for you.
You don't even have to read it once. Open the book to any page and you kind of hit a certain part and you're going to kind of go through that lesson. And you can start over wherever you want. If you're a really bad procrastinator, this is the ultimate book, right? Because you just do any part of it and you're starting.
Pick apart.
Right, pick apart and open it.
You want to talk about teamwork, we can do that. You want to talk about attitude, we can do that.
It's exactly what it is. And then as you've done 2 lessons, they're not lessons, but you're like, oh, I better do one more. I mean, I at least got to give myself a little more effort. And it's kind of investing in yourself. I mean that.
Thank you. And I always believe that, to me, part of engaging people is telling stories. Are you able to tell stories that people can relate to, that they enjoy? And one of the things I reference in the book is one of my dearest friends was Jimmy Valvano.
Yes.
The V Foundation really was dedicated after Jimmy. And he talked about 3 things you needed to do in life. You need to think.
Yes.
You need to laugh. And you need to bring your emotions to joy or tears. And that's what I tried to do, and that's what I keep in mind. I keep Jimmy's speech with me. It's in my briefcase every day of my life. And I can't tell you how many times I sit down and I read Jimmy's speech in 1993 at the ESPYs when he talked about the V Foundation and those things. And so that was part of an inspiration as well when it came to writing the book. So I'd like you to think about the things that are in it. I think there's some things you're going to laugh at, some of the stuff that goes on, and some of it is going to give you a chance to look at the emotions of your life and feel them up inside.
And if you want to meet Joe Theismann, if you actually want to meet and get to know Joe Theismann, this is your way to meet. And in my opinion, this is how you get to know Joe Theismann. Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay.
You got to read the...
I want to read this. This is what we want to do. So, How to Be a Champion Every Day is the book. So, it's written by me, Joe Theismann. How about that? Isn't that unique? I mean, you've been watching me for an hour. Now all of a sudden I'm telling you it's me. But the book goes on sale June 16th. And it'll be available on Amazon and different bookstores so you can check it out. I hope you enjoy it as much as, reading it as much as I did. And I am signing them, just so you know.
How do you get a signed copy?
How do you get a signed copy?
I get one because I did this, so mine is here. But how do you get one? Right there.
Get to log on to howtobeachampionbook.com and come on in and you'll get a signed copy. And thank you to everybody. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, Joe Theismann.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.